Welcome, everyone, to the Sports Writers. I'm Bill Newell with MSO News Sports. We have the Sports Writers here. We have a quorum officially, by the way, but we don't have Phil Stacey with us. He's away. Nick Kukuru is with us, Nick Giannino, and Matt Williams. So, gentlemen, welcome. Good to see you again this week.
Yeah, you too, Bill.
Gentlemen, let's start with baseball. And I know, Nick Kukuru, you've been following the Gloucester Little League team. So, and they're out now as of Sunday. So maybe you could share some notes with us on that in the Little League tournament. Also, of course, over the last weekend, Peabody West also went out of the tournament.
I was going to say, I think all the local teams are now officially out. Peabody West was eliminated in pool play. They're kind of a de facto semifinal against Gloucester on Friday, and then Gloucester fell to Reading in the sectional finals on Sunday. So Reading went 4-0. So they clearly established themselves as the best team in Section 4, and they kind of pounded Gloucester in that last game, 10-2. First inning grand slam from Dylan Hilaire, and then he got up in the second inning and hit a bases-loaded triple to make it 7-0, and then he pitched 4 shutout innings. So he kind of was the hero for Reading. He did it all for them on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, a good run for the local teams. Peabody West right there again, Gloucester. That was only the second time Gloucester's ever played in a sectional final in the Williamsport tournament. So a pretty big deal for them to make it that far and push it to the state finals tournament. I think they were kind of in a win or go home spot 3 separate times in the tournament, and they battled their way back all 3 times. Before Reading took care of them in the Section 4 finals.
Yeah, they were a fun team to watch. I enjoyed covering that. That's the whole section was pretty competitive, up until that championship game with Reading. And I didn't get to see Reading play, but clearly they, like Nick said, they seem to have the hitting and the pitching. So I think a lot of those games came down to fielding too. A lot of errors from losing teams, which you'll see at the Little League level, obviously. But hey, we'll keep tabs on Reading and see. I know they're not a North Shore team, but nice to have a Massachusetts team make a run. We'll see if they can, get there.
Yeah, I think they had the best offense in the section. I think that's what it came down to. They had the best hitting team of the 4 teams around. I thought, Gloucester, Peabody West, and Reading all played good defense, but Reading seemed to have the bats, the advantage with the bats.
Yeah, I thought Reading was the best team, and almost did it last year and got caught at the end, and figured it out this year. We'll see what they do at the States. I think they're going to have a good shot. I mean, I know that Pittsfield team that was the best team last year that almost won too has a couple of kids back and is back in it. I think that's who they open up with on Friday at the States down in Braintree. So we'll have our eyes on it. I'm sure the New England Regionals will be there on the, on Nesson sometimes and stuff like that. So we'll see.
I know the Beverly Salem Legion team lost over the weekend, so they go into the losers bracket. As we record on Monday afternoon, they're not out of it, but they're still competing. But maybe a note or two on those guys.
I believe they're in the final 6 now.
Yeah.
So certainly a good spot to be, and they're going to need to see what happens. I mean, they got to win out the repeat and go to the regionals again. And, all the games here on Monday have been rained out. So I assume they're going to carry the schedule through Tuesday, which carries them through another few days out there in Worcester. A lot of driving out there for these boys, but they had an okay season, not as dominant as last year, the regular season, won the playoffs, strung together 3 wins in a row and in impressive fashion. And, they certainly have a good lineup, maybe not as deep in the pitching as they've been, but, the extra day should help rest some of those arms. If they can get through the next elimination game, they'd have Bobby Jellison, I think, fresh because of the rainout day. So that certainly helps them. The rainout day, I think, just getting those arms back because they are a little bit limited with the injury there to Cooper Gavin. So really heavily reliant on Noah Guanci and Bobby Jellison, who pitches at Salem State. He's really good. And Anthony Mastriani, who came on at the end of the year for the Panther varsity. And he'll be like probably their number 2 starter next year, has been given the Legion team great innings too. So, hey, tough to go back to back. I mean, they lost so many of those strong college players, Braden Clark and Petrosino at Salve and some of the other guys they had from Salem last year. So, to rebuild and win the district again and have a chance to be at least in the Final Four of the state. If they win tomorrow, I mean, that's nothing to shake a stick at. That's pretty good.
And Jellison, I think went, he started on the mound in their last game, which they lost in a mercy rule game to fall into that losers bracket. But I believe he only talked through 60 pitches. So like you said, Willie, with that extra day off, I mean, he should be good to go for this week.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't hurt,
I know the Lynn Babe Ruth team is competing up in Keene, New Hampshire for the New England Regionals in there. And as I understand it, games Monday, they were not scheduled on Monday as we record this, and there was rain going through the area, but they're rescheduling those games for later. So they will be back on track, hopefully, and be playing possibly maybe one, but possibly two games if they do well on Tuesday. So they might be able to bounce back, stay right on schedule with that tournament up in Keene, New Hampshire. Any other baseball thoughts from you guys other than Big Pappy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speech,
man.
He's the only bright spot with the Red Sox right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You have to.
I'd rather reminisce about his clutch play rather than talk about the current version of the Red Sox. I mean, the Big Papi, I just say, like, I'm lucky to have seen him and Tom Brady play at the same time. I mean, those are probably, if their generation's probably the most clutch football player, the most clutch baseball player of their generations. I was, I feel lucky and spoiled to be able to watch both of them for the teams I root for at the same time.
Nobody more clutch than Poppy in the Red Sox. I can't imagine, that other great players. I get it, but not with clutch huge hits like he had at key big games. So yeah, well deserved all this Cooperstown hoopla that we've been seeing in the last several days for sure.
No doubt, no doubt.
Nick Giannino, do you want to talk a bit about golf? I know it's golf season. There's things happening, but not a ton of things, but maybe you want to share a note or two with us.
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, we get I can touch upon both of them. The Emrick Brothers, and we've written about them a lot this summer. They're really playing some good golf, starting with Christian, the older brother. He's playing at Holy Cross. I think he's going to be a senior this coming year, but he's been on fire to start this summer. And, he'll be playing in the U.S. Amateur in August. But he just set a course record last week at the New England Amateur. I can't think of the name of the course. It was in Rhode Island. I want to say Alpine Country Club. That might be right, actually. But he shot a 62, 10 under par. The original course record, the previous course record, I should say, was a 66. So he smashed that. He was in 44th place going into the final day of the tournament. He shot that 62 and he moved all the way into second. So he jumped up 42 spots with one round, by far the lowest round of the tournament. Didn't win the thing, ended up one stroke back of the eventual winner. But, to set a course record and have a great day like that in a big tournament like the New England Amateur was pretty cool. And then his younger brother, Aidan, who is going to be heading to Michigan. They're both St. Mary's Lynn guys. He's competing in the U.S. Junior Amateur right now, which is another pretty prestigious tournament. They have an age limit on that, whereas the regular U.S. Amateur, there's no age limit. This one is more for, high school, college golfers, so to speak. And they just teed off today. So if you give me a second, I can tell you how he's faring. It's a big field. Yeah, 5-day tournament. They'll be playing all week. So he's going to have to shoot well and try and make the cut. And let's see, I got it right here. Oh, wow. Yeah, he's back at it. He shot 2 under par right now, 2 under par today, 69. He's in 9th place. And to put that into perspective, there is about almost 200 golfers competing. And he's in 9th place right now. So pretty impressive stuff for him. Again, that's a U.S. Junior Amateur. So players from all across the country. He's going to be representing Massachusetts, obviously, but kids come from all over to compete in that. There's going to be some really low scores. So we'll see how he fares as the week goes on. Again, Swampscott kid. So pretty cool stuff for him. And then we got the We Met Memorial Championship through Mass Golf coming up later this week. Bunch of local guys will be competing in that. I'll have some stories on that to be looking for in the paper.
I got a decent little golf note too up in Gloucester. Josh Sala. I don't know if you guys remember Josh Sala, but he was a standout former NEC MVP at Gloucester Sacred Heart. He retired from the Asian professional tour last summer, and actually just last weekend he got his he relinquished his pro status, got his amateur status back, and went out and won the Bass Rocks Club Championship in his first event back as an amateur. So look for him on the amateur circuit soon. He's back in business. I believe he's a former. Is he a former New England Junior Amateur champ or North Shore Amateur champ? He won some of those prestigious amateur tournaments back in his amateur days. That he went and played for a good 7-8 years over in Thailand and the Asian tour. But he's back locally now. Has been for about a year, and looks like he's as strong as ever.
Sala, you said it was his last name?
Yeah.
Isn't that there's a couple Little League kids, right?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of Salas. They're all good. They're all good athletes. They're
hockey players. They're
hockey players.
Yeah.
He was a good hockey player at Gloucester as well. His older brother Tom scored the double overtime game winner at the Garden in 2006 for Gloucester's last state hockey champ. So, and then there's their cousin Mia Salas, Gloucester's all-time leading scorer in field hockey. So they're a crop of athletes. And yeah, we saw Luke Sala was one of Gloucester's top 2 players on the Williamsport team.
Right.
So they're all coming through the woodwork. There's a lot of Salas in Gloucester, and they're all good athletes.
So Josh's ship has landed again here in Gloucester. Then there you go. Yeah. All right. Anything else, Nick?
Bill, just going back to the junior amateur, I didn't realize, but Aidan LeBlanc is also competing. He's from Beverly. Used to be a prep kid, transferred over to Beverly. He's a great golfer as well. So be on the lookout for him. I believe those are the only 2 North Shore representatives to be competing in the U.S. Junior Am.
All right. Good stuff. I'm looking at the front page of the Salem News today, Matt and Nick, and you've got the 7-on-7 football story with you, Matt, and then Gene DePlacido is writing about Jonel Aguero from St. John's Prep, who is starting his senior year very shortly over at the Prep, but has also announced that he is going to play football in Georgia, the defending national champ. So we're into football here. We're almost to August, but we're talking some football. But maybe some notes on Jonel and what this means. That's a pretty big move for a North Shore athlete to be going that big.
Yeah, North Shore Jace anyway. I mean, because he spent half a season at the Prep and then went to IMG Academy, and now I guess he's going to come back. So unfortunately, none of us have actually seen him play in many years. So we don't know what to expect. I was talking to some folks. It sounds like he's going to play some offense, which, you pair him with Jesse O'Fury and Stephen Patrick as a wide receiver. I mean, I don't know how you cover all 3 of those guys. If the Prep can find a quarterback, they're going to certainly score a lot of points. And then, just as a safety, and he can play some cornerback too, but I'm guessing he's going to hit a lot of people really hard. The good news is in the Catholic Conference, not too many guys that are smaller than him. I think if he was playing in the NEC, he'd get a lot of flags for being bigger and stronger than the guys he was unloading on. But in the Catholic Conference, that's probably not going to be such an issue for Jonel. But, I was thinking the other day, Gene DePlacido is going to be the only person that attended the press conference for Jonel to announce his college choice, and also attended the one when Coach Saint announced he was going to BC, back in 1997, right? Gene's probably the only one that was at both of those. So that's kind of impressive for Gene the machine over there. But I think certainly excited to see what Jonel can do. I mean, there's a lot of pressure when you have that kind of commitment, as we know. We've all, seen players like that over the years, and they get all the eyes on them, and most of them are able to rise to the occasion. I mean, certainly if you're getting recruited by Georgia, there's a reason for that. I mean, those guys don't waste scholarships. They take everything pretty seriously. So that's going to be fascinating. That's going to be a sight to see. I mean, I think, the guy that he was most compared to is Lewis Sine from Everett, who we also didn't get to see play at the end of his career because he absconded. He said, forget this. I can't get a scholarship in Massachusetts, and went to Texas and played high school football there instead. So, Albert Louis Jean of Brockton, who played big time college football, was a name that I heard as a comp. Lucas Dennis was probably the best safety I've ever seen in high school from Everett. He went to BC and was drafted as a late pick. This kid's supposed to be much better than him from what I've heard. So those are some of the comps, but certainly looking forward to seeing it in a couple of months. I mean, it's going to be fascinating, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on the kid every single game. That's for sure.
I don't have a Georgia football roster in front of me, but I'm guessing they're not pulling a lot of players out of New England. I may be wrong on that, but I'm just thinking. But
Well,
No, that's a good assumption, I would say.
They-
okay, thanks, Nick.
I do remember the Dartmouth team that had Jordan Todman, the NFL running back on the team, had a tight end named Arthur Lynch that was recruited by Georgia. He played at Georgia, so that's the last one I can think of, and that was 2008. So that was 14 years ago. So as far as just sending kids to the SEC in general, that's pretty rare, that conference. I mean, and never mind the defending national champions. I mean, they won the whole
Right.
thing last year. They finally beat Alabama. So, I mean, this isn't like a second tier school. This is right now the best one in the country.
And he had his pick of the litter. I mean, he could have gone anywhere he wanted, but it seems like, in the reporting that Gene did, it seems like he had his decision made up a while ago and has just been waiting to announce it. It seemed like the right fit for him. Obviously, he did, visit the school. But yeah, we're excited to be able to see him play with the Eagles this year. Apparently, he runs a 4.6 40. So that's kind of next level speed at the high school level. And obviously he's strong, he's athletic. He's got all the intangibles that you look for in a college football player. So I think he's going to be a big boost for an already very strong St. John's prep team.
All right. So Matt, you were covering the 7-on-7 tournament over the weekend and so on, or the last week or whatever. Maybe tournament's too strong of a word, but whatever it is. It is tournament. Northeast tournament. So tell us what are some highlights out of that?
Well, the prep wasn't there. They had other things going on. I guess they didn't, they look busy this year with something else. So we didn't get to see their new quarterback. But no, I mean, there were probably 7 or 8 local teams there, including Gloucester, and, some good success. Peabody went 4-0 in the pool play. So there's 40 teams over there, divided into, I think it was 8 pools with 5 teams this year. So everybody played 4 round robin games, and then they had little playoffs. And this year they had 2 playoff brackets. So instead of one 16-team tournament, they had a large and a small, 2 tournaments of 8. Methuen won the large. Linfield won the small. And I know Linfield's sort of on the periphery of our coverage area, but I think Pat Lamusta's done a really nice job over there. And that's a team that could be on the rise and could be in for a great season. I mean, they beat both Bishop Fenwick, which is obviously a really good program, and they beat St. Mary's in the playoff portion, back-to-back games. So that was great to see. Bishop Fenwick, I think perhaps tales of their demise might be a little bit overstated. I know they lost a lot. Stephen Woods to graduation, the record-setting quarterback, and Jason Romans, everything MVP candidate. But I thought the new quarterback, Bryce Lehman, who I believe is the Gloucester guy, Nick, he looked pretty good for them in the 7-on-7 setting. They got a transfer from Saugus, Anthony Nichols, who looks like he's fitting in great. And then with Costa Beechin and Luke Connolly both back, Fenwick looks like they might pick up right where they left off. I mean, the CCL is tough. St. Mary's is going to be really good with Dave Brown back. And I know Bishop Feehan, I think all the teams in the CCL North are playing over their heads with Feehan a little bit, being a potential Super Bowl contender in Division 2 or 3. But, when they get into the small school competition, I think Fenwick's going to pick up right where they left off. They were really impressive. They beat Danvers in the playoffs. Danvers went 3-1 and made the playoffs with their backup QB. Their regular QB was at a different showcase, a little bit down the road doing some different things. So they were able to send in a new guy and have some fun. And, that was one of the things a lot of the coaches I talked to mentioned that, when you're doing these things, it's just like regular summer sports. Kids are on vacation, family commitments, maybe their cousin had a baptism or whatever, different reasons they can't be there. And so sometimes, you're cycling through some JV guys and getting those guys that might be needed because of injury or different reasons during the season, some time to read coverages and call out signals and things like that in a competitive game situation is very, very valuable experience. Another team I was impressed by was Essex Tech. They have their quarterback, Devin LeBron, back. He's a 3-year starter. He missed some time with an injury last year, but he's excellent, throws a great deep ball and is getting much better at throwing the underneath balls. The Hawks really had their season derailed by injuries last year. Dooley, their top receiver, missed some time. Marco Sherpa missed the entire season, and LeBron missed some time and forced Harry Lynch to play quarterback a little bit. So if he's at his natural position at running back, and those two receivers I mentioned, Dooley and Sherpa, are ready to rock and roll, I think this could really be a big year for Essex Tech. I really like what Coach Connors is putting together over there. I thought they made the playoffs too and lost to Lowell Catholic, which was the runner-up. So I thought they were really good. Only other team I didn't mention was Marblehead, and I thought Miles O'Neill looked really good, the new quarterback. He's a tall guy, basketball player, really good pocket presence. I mean, it's going to be really difficult to replace Josh Robertson's escapability and smarts. But I think in terms of delivering the ball and standing in there and throwing good passes, O'Neill's going to be just as good as anybody. Now, it's going to take him maybe a minute to develop that escapability that Josh had, or just that knowledge of, when to run, when not to run. I mean, the things Josh was doing really at the end of his senior year were at the next level, right? Like there's very few players in the entire state that could do what Josh did. So that's a tough billing to live up to. But I mean, in terms of just running the offense and making the first or second read and delivering the ball, I think O'Neill's going to be just as good as anybody Marblehead has had in recent years. And they're going to really pick up potentially where they left off, with him calling the signals. He looked really good. They won their first 3 games, and they lost to Dexter Southfield, a prep school that they won't see in the pool play. And then they lost to the eventual champion Methuen in the playoffs. Methuen taking out both Peabody and Marblehead in the playoffs. I thought we were going to get a preview and see Peabody against Marblehead, but Methuen upset Marblehead in the first round, and then they took out Peabody in the second round. And went on to win the whole thing, beating Barnstable in a mild upset. So we'll have to wait until October to see those teams against each other, I guess.
Good. Lots of good stuff. Any reaction to any of that?
Day. No, it was a fun day. I mean, it was really, really freaking hot out there, but it was great just to go around the different fields and see all the coaches. I mean, it's a wonderful event for us media types, because everybody's in the same place, right? So you can just kind of float around. It's like the All-Star game, like you just spend 5 or 10 minutes catching up with all the different guys, learning different things. And, really is a lot of fun in that regard. You don't have to make 10 different phone calls to talk to these guys. You show up at one place, everybody's there. People haven't seen each other in months. They're really excited to be there. It was a really, really positive experience, I think, for everybody.
Bishop Fenwick's been busy. They had the soccer jamboree a couple of weeks ago as well, with a lot of top teams in the area and teams coming from Maine and different areas. So that seems like a good place to host these events. And both so far, it seems like the football and the soccer were big successes. What about did you touch on Shea Lynch for Peabody? I know you talked about Peabody a little bit, but he was looking pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, threw some tutties, I mean, I think that's a really good format for them. I mean, the 3 receivers that they have is really difficult to cover. I mean, between Batista, Barrett, and Ridley, I mean, in that situation, it's really hard to cover all 3 of them. All 3 of them can run. So I think for them, they're going to score a lot of points. I mean, they won the Endicott shootout a couple weeks ago. They've been pretty dominant in the Fenwick Tuesday night league. So the question for them is, how's the defense going to be? They put a lot of focus on the defense in this thing. And, are they going to be able to do the game management stuff that's going to help them turn close losses into wins? I mean, I think, if you're Peabody, this is really an or bust year. You got all those guys as seniors. I mean, you don't get a quarterback through the door that way very often. I mean, there's a better than average chance he's going to break Kyle Beatrice's career touchdown pass record. So, I mean, a kid like that doesn't come through the door. You better take advantage of his senior year and figure out a way to win some games. I mean, they're going to score the points. So how are you going to keep the other teams off the board and limit your turnovers and just work out your game management issues that probably kept you out of the playoffs last year. But certainly in terms of the summer 7-on-7, that's a team that's humming on all cylinders right now.
Nick Giannino, I know you mentioned soccer just a second ago, so let's talk about soccer. One of the great legendary coaches in the North Shore passed away this past week, Len Emmons from Masconomet. In your story, Nick, I saw where he amassed 576 wins in his career. I remember we were talking about legendary coaches in the past, and 500 is one of those big benchmarks for certain sports, such as soccer and baseball, softball, and so on, that play the 20 regular game schedule or something like that, a season for a high school coach. And I remember covering games back in my days at WESX, where I'd be scrambling for guests in my evening sports show, and I'd always be able to get Len Emmons on the phone, it seemed like a lot of times. And he could talk soccer, and he was a great ambassador for the game, as your story kind of points out, Nick, in Friday's Salem News about Len Emmons. But clearly, I call him kind of a pioneer in the game for the North Shore. There are a lot of pioneers back in the 70s, 80s, I guess, for North Shore soccer and so on. But he was certainly brought it to the Cape Ann League with I think it was 28 titles you mentioned, Cape Ann League titles in the article.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, one state
pretty
title.
much every year, it seems.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And he set the standard for Masco soccer too. I mean, they've carried on that tradition. Jared's done a great job with the program moving forward, and Jared Scarpacci obviously knew Len very well, and even Dave Mitchell before Jared. So just everyone that I've spoken with speaks so highly of Lenny. I never had the pleasure of covering his teams, but he's a legend here on the North Shore and did so many great things for the game of soccer. Everyone that played for him really loved playing for him, learned a lot. He just did it the right way. So he'll definitely be missed. I'll actually have a bigger story, more in-depth story on him later this week in the Salem News, speaking of some of, his former colleagues, players, coaches, that type of thing. But he really made an impact for everyone that knew him, and especially in the game of soccer.
Yeah. Gentlemen, is there anything else you guys want to mention this week, looking ahead? Anything we should be peeking at, looking ahead, previewing this week as we talk on Monday afternoon, looking ahead to this week?
I don't know. We're going to have Kevin Durant here pretty soon or what?
Yeah, we could touch on that.
What do you think, Nick?
Well, I think Jaylen Brown's got to be pissed, right? That his name's swirling around in trade rumors after all this. It didn't seem like the Celtics were going to make a push for KD. Seemed like they got their two guys in the offseason who we've talked about, Brogdon and Gallinari, and they were just going to, bring back their core and add a couple of those guys and potentially make another run here. But now seems like, some reports, who knows what to believe these days on Twitter, but a lot of reports are saying that they're making a serious push for Kevin Durant. And obviously with getting a guy of that caliber, you're going to have to give up a guy like Jaylen Brown. So I'm against it. I don't know what you guys think. Jaylen Brown is still so young, and him and Tatum made so many big strides last year as a duo. Maybe if you get Kevin Durant, you win this year. I don't know. He's really only been proven to bring home a championship with Golden State, and Steph Curry. So again, you add him to a team with Jason Tatum, maybe they make some magic. But he's also getting older. He's had his injuries. How many more years of his prime does he have left? If you get 2 good years out of him, maybe more. But if you keep Jaylen Brown, you can have him for his whole career potentially, and he's just not even hitting his prime yet. So, and not only that, but you're going to have to give up more than just Jaylen Brown. You're probably going to throw in Marcus Smart. You're probably going to throw in some draft picks. I don't know. I just don't see that it's really necessary to do at this point, but I'm sure other people have differing opinions.
That's Kevin Durant, though. I mean, if you're Jaylen Brown, you got to understand, this isn't some rumor where they're trying to get rid of you or they're trying to move you for some lesser player. You got to understand that I understand these guys have big egos and stuff, but dude, you're not as good as Kevin Durant. Deal with it. You know what I mean? Grow up.
And players, especially in today's game, they get thrown in trade rumors pretty much every offseason, big players like Brown. So maybe this is just the first time he's experienced it and he's a little shook. I mean, he did tweet out something kind of cryptic earlier, SMH, shaking my head. So obviously he's seen the reports. He's not happy about it, but we'll see what happens. We don't know what kind of discussions are going on within the organization, between them and Jaylen Brown. So,
well, you don't know if they're, who's putting this out there either. Is it Brooklyn trying to entice other teams to offer more? Is it Kyrie trying to just blow the whole thing up because he hates Boston that much and wants to create dissension between, get Brown out of here? But I mean, in general, I think it's kind of like baseball, being offered for A-Rod. Like, I mean, your name's not attached to like some bum. I mean, we're not talking about trading you for, Lonzo Ball or something. Like, this is, like, if you're good enough to be traded for the best player in the world, like, that's actually a compliment to you, dude. Take it that way.
Right. I just think he thought that Boston was loyal to him. He started his career here. He hasn't been on any other teams.
I think part of the problem is he might not re-sign though. The reason they want to make this move is because they're worried he's going to be a flight risk. So if you're only getting one more year of him, then you're better off getting 3 more years of KD. I mean, if the choice is 3 years of KD or 10 years of Brown, then I take Brown. But if Brown's going to leave because he wants to have his own team and doesn't like Tatum that much, and it's only 2 more years of Brown, well, now I'm going to think about making the trade, So that's something that the Celtics have to consider in this whole thing too. Is Brown going to sign an extension? And is he actually going to be here for the long term? Is he happy, being known as Robin to Tatum's Batman? And maybe not.
The other thing too is you mentioned Kyrie. Reports came out a couple hours after the KD to the Celtics potential news that Kyrie now wants to stay and finish out next year in Brooklyn. So like, really, what the heck is going on in Brooklyn? We have no idea. Things change every day here. And yeah, I mean, who knows? We might get a Woj bomb.
That's why the NBA is so much fun right now, though. I mean, it's really started to become like the NFL. Like, I mean, baseball's in the middle of its season, and NBA's getting more attention than baseball is right now.
Yeah.
Find it interesting. Durant in Boston, potentially interesting because he has a serious case of rabbit ears, and he
good point.
A lot about what people say about him. And, just given the fact that, Jason Tatum didn't have a great finals at the age of 24, and, no 24-year-old has won a superstar. No 24-year-old superstar has won a title since Magic Johnson and Bird. And they kind of want to, criticize him up and down. What are they going to do with Kevin Durant if he doesn't have an unbelievably incredible season as soon as he gets here?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. It could be a Edgar Renteria type situation. I might be dating myself back. Kevin Durant's not Edgar Renteria. Edgar Renteria is a far inferior player in his sport, but he clearly couldn't handle playing in Boston with all the constant criticism and complaining that goes on here.
But I mean, it'd be championship or bust. I mean, even if Smart goes, I mean, you're talking about Durant, Tatum, Rob Williams, and the rest of the pieces they have, and Brogdon too. If that's your top 4, I mean, it's championship or bust. I mean, if they lost in the East Finals or lost in the finals, it'd be considered a failure. And I don't think Durant probably would be able to handle that. But then again, if they won it all, he'd be a hero.
I think it's championship or bust regardless if they get Durant or if they don't. They got better than last year and they made the finals this past year. So I don't.
Yeah, without Durant, if they were to lose to Giannis or to the Warriors, if they retool, I wouldn't consider that like a catastrophic failure. I mean, it'd be disappointing, but those are really, really good. I mean, if the Warriors add a piece or two and then just Giannis, I mean, I think without Durant able to neutralize that matchup a little bit. Anytime you lose to Giannis, it's hard to do anything besides say, well, he's unstoppable. He's kind of I'm always wary of him. Like he could win it by himself at any given moment. Great. I feel like.
Yeah, they say 27 is the magic age. Giannis won at 26, so he broke that.
He's pretty good.
And this all started with a Nick Giannino tweet. That's where it all started, all across the country.
It's all because of Connaughton, anyways. I mean, that's the only that's the only reason Giannis is any good, because he's got Connaughton over there.
There you go. All right. This is a local North Shore podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So there you go. We got to kind of fit the boot, if you will. All right, gentlemen, always good talking with you. I guess we'll stop here and we'll talk again soon.
Awesome.